What's up? uh, did some testing on my. I've been trying to decide on the blues. I have two blues that I'm going to do, that I wanted to do eventually. Um, Essentially, this is an '04 Monte Carlo SS that I picked up for $200. I haven't really posted any videos about this car and this project in itself. Mainly taking pictures. We're coming up on a year since I've owned the car. The journey has been just crazy because that's what I do. Obviously, you see the SLP. If you're into, I say obviously in the sense that if you're into these cars, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very rare item. It's hard to find. This is '06 and '07 emblems. I was after a certain feel with this car. I wanted, granted it's front wheel drive, there's no mods to be considered right now. If you do mods, then you sacrifice reliability. This car is just simply going to be a work car. That's what it started out as. As you can, the strut brace, I built that, have zero cost, it's just time. These are Grand Prix fender or strut braces. Go to your radiator support. Just using up a bunch of junk that's around. A lot of people talk shit about this whole setup. Get rid of your seal. Heat excavation versus cold air. I'm not even going to get involved in it. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, this is a stock hood that was here. Purchased a hood scoop off eBay for like, I don't know, just a hair over $100. I always loved the lines of this thing. I felt that it fit the car perfect. As you can see, I have the high sport. That in itself is that was very hard to come by. I don't have a light in there because I took it out, and I'm going to get to why I took that out. But it hasn't had lights in it for some time now. But excuse me, I'm the guy that builds 2000 to '05 Halos. I haven't really seen a whole lot of people build that particular item. They pull apart stock units and do the different mods. But basically, I have all my high sport, and then I ended up with on these cars, you know. Sorry about the popping and banging. This is close to the 4th, and I got a neighbor doing a 4th party, which is cool. Basically, I guess lack of better words, I'm doing a get back to what I was talking about. It's a walk around because this is basically, I've had this car for almost a year and I've done so much shit to it, it's ridiculous. High sport, I now have 3 sets. I'm not going to give them up due to the fact that I know how hard they are to find. I was after a certain feel. I cut that particular decal myself. I had the file. That's what I was after. The sunroof, that's a whole nother story. Basically, it was undercoating, fiberglass mat, you name it. They destroyed the sunroof and then put the glass back in there for a patch panel. I had a Grand Prix that I was parting out a while back. I just pulled the sunroof out of that, dual action sander or DA'd all of the shit off of it, and now I've got a nice sunroof. First, you got your rails. Those are probably going to be silver. Still up in the air on that. The inside has seen several stages, even in the course of the year that I've had it. Basically, it was tan interior that was spray painted. Even the door panels were brush painted. So I basically took my compressed air and I hit like a gap and then I would get behind the paint and I would blow it all off. It's kind of funny, actually. Everything's LED converted. Can you see it? I guess you can. Got wires hanging away. Everything's LED converted. I've done my own needles. They were based for Silverado. Had to shorten them up. I've got SS puddle lights that you can't see because it's daytime. I just got done jamming it here. I don't know. I do side work for lots of other applications, so excuse me, for me getting back to the car, it's got a few and far between. So I finally got it jammed, and then I've also got I put 0607 headrests on the OEM seats. I've actually re-dyed those light gray. What I want to do is there's a pick and pull that's got an Impala that's got the seats that belong to those headrests. Picked the headrests up off of eBay for pretty cheap, and then dyed them accordingly. Like I said, the back is just kind of basic, but everything's jammed. As far as inside color is concerned, I'm going to change the steering wheel to a Z34 Alumina. I'm going to change the shifter knob to something brushed aluminum. It's got a pretty nice system in it. Everything's Rockford, old school Rockford, come from the 90s, which is all this deck I don't really like because it does the amp thump. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's pretty neat, but if you throw on the key, you know, it's a nice deck, but there's certain applications about it that I don't like. You'll hear it here in a minute. Boom. See? So once you power the deck on, it has that amp thump. It's a delayed reaction. You basically need to power the amp on before or after the deck is powered up. That's the stuff that you run into when you run a cheaper deck. But also, like I was saying, everything is LED converted. All switches, everything. There's another mod, the SS dash emblem. I don't really like that one now. Because I was gonna, after I thought about it, I looked at this and I wished I would have took the keychain emblem and then incorporated that in there, but didn't. That can always come later. So also got LED cup holder thingies. So everything's jammed. Back to the walk around. I had to DA this car down to the metal. There was undercoating, truck bed undercoating, and 2, if not 3 coats of house paint. Once you got everything stripped down to the metal, the thing was actually pretty darn straight. And every possible Monte Carlo this year, this era, rust had been repaired and pretty shitty, to be quite honest. The lip for the fender well was gone, and they just kind of rolled it with fiberglass mat, and it just looked like total shit. So that's all repaired. All the material is in there. I just got to DA it down and get it blocked. Coming to the back, of course, you know, high sport. I put screen behind the high sport. That is more of a, I don't know what you call it. I look at that and it's like a I don't see the purpose of it, but the I know some of the Grand Prix special editions had them. Can't think of the word right now. I've had a couple drinks, so forgive me. I don't know if this is open or not. Nope. But pop the hood or pop the trunk. Ah, that's nice. Everything blew in from that brake light being going. All that shit was not there like a couple days ago. It's got all Rockford DSM Series 1 amps up under there. I'm eventually going to make a cover on the trunk. You won't see any of that. Back up here, when you pop the trunk, it'll have this will all be carpeted panel, and then it'll flash an SS puddle light. When I get these cars, these 3800 cars, essentially what I do is, anybody that's worked on these cars, you know that you have there's a Y that comes off and you got two mufflers back here. Well, starting from that Y on up, and then you have your U-bend, catalytic converter, and resonator. I basically chop it right at the U-bend and chop it at the Y, and I put all straight pipe in there, 2 1/4, and then I'll weld back in a O2 bung, which essentially is just for the computer to establish that the catalytic converter is doing what it's supposed to do. So, but basically, I started out this video I was trying to establish. I've been kind of set on one color, and I thought about it today, and this color up on this fender here, I'm building layers, of course. Once I get there, the whole car is going to be wet sanded, blocked, all dings and everything. Will take all those spots will be taken care of. Excuse me. That fender is a Sonic blue, as you can see. It's a little darker, but the difference is this. That was the Sonic blue. I can't remember that was a Ford color. This color that I specifically chose was a Mazda color, but the reason I chose that, it has a bunch of pearl into it. So as you can imagine, I want this thing to pop. I mean, in my opinion, after it's done, it's already going to pop anyway, but yeah, it's got a lot of metallic in it, but it doesn't pop with the pearl. So I proved to myself tonight, between that Sonic and the Electron Blue Pearl, which is a Mazda color, gonna go that route. And then also these brake lights, I shaved and welded up the trunk light, or the trunk key lock. I just popped the trunk. I've done that with about every darn car that I've had. So, but the brake lights, I do a mod, like on my kids' Monte Carlo over there, and my old junk Impala that I drive every single day. I do a mod that's a night rider light. I basically buy these LED strips, and they're standard. They're what you call it? The pattern. It's a night rider light, but it fluctuates on patterns. But it's a pretty neat, unique item that you can do, or a mod. I do all these brake lights that way. So. But as you can see, the material's in there. I've taken the necessary panels and got the edge needed, because it really bothers me when you see a car painted, if that under edge isn't like sharp and painted, that fender well, the front and rear. If that isn't there, and like looking nice, that really irritates the hell out of me because it just looks like it's slapped together. And but the funny thing about that is that this car is kind of slapped together, but it's been, of course, over a year. So plans change and ideas change. Like I said, I'm going to do some better ones of these. There we go. I've got the program and I fucked up on some of the tool paths. Basically just a sheet of aluminum that I mill a certain logo into. I was going to do backlit Monte Carlo. Decided to just do whatever. That way I can always throw paint on it and let it, kind of pop that way. But I may just leave them as is. As you can see, I got everything jammed. Probably do something different with the panel or door panels. Maybe extend this out here. Then maybe put a black SS, but I don't want to overload it because I've already got a ton of stuff that's SS. But you know what? In reality, I am the only dude, literally, that will see this thing. And it's, I guess, when I pick it apart, I'm the only guy that's going to see all that shit. So, and then last but not least, these are the stupid rubber decals that you can buy for your... Now, don't get me wrong. I shouldn't do that because essentially these are peeled off of another tire and glued back on. I haven't even put any miles on this car, but the ones that I originally glued on are fine. So that being said, I do vinyl decals as well. As you can see up on my hood over there, I gotta cut a bunch of stuff for my kid. As far as he wants to put a skull and some like flame wings on the hood, so we're gonna do that for him. But that looks like shit. But that being said, like I said, the ones I didn't redo are fine. So, but what I want to do for later, I don't like this tire. It's a little bit too tall for my taste, but that's what I had, so I used it. I'm going to I cut vinyl decals, so like I mentioned already, I'm going to make stencils. So when you do it in-house, it's you can do anything you want. There's no cost. It's just the material cost. So later on, what I'm going to do for other tires on other projects as well, I'm going to do a stencil, and then I can just cut whatever project I'm doing. I can cut the stencils and stick them on, and I'm just going to spray can them. I've noticed that seems to hold up the best. So, and last but not least, the rockers out here are pretty good shape, but the house paint has saved that. But I've got aluminum material that will be riveted 1 inch all the way across here underneath that rust will be treated, and I'm going to roll that aluminum underneath of there, and it'll actually be created as a shield, so to speak, for any kind of rocker panel rot, if you will. And then after that, after it's painted, the high sport will go on there, and then it'll all be hidden. But when you put it on the lift, everything's still pretty solid. So, and then the second thing that's last but not least is the vet wheels. These are C6 vet wheels. They're 18 by 9, I believe, or 18 by 8. 2 sets of fronts. Put adapters on them. As we all know, it's 114 millimeter bolt pattern and or 4.5 bolt pattern. So I've got I think it's 1 1/8 adapters / spacers. As you can see, brings it right out to the fender well. It changes the bolt pattern 4 3/4. so I can put any wheel that I want within reason. Pretty much any wheel that you want. There's an adapter / spacer, but do the math as far as your offset. Make sure it isn't going to mess with the components on the vehicle. It may or may not, depending on how many miles you put on the car. So I think I'm going to sum up the video. I think I've babbled enough. One headlight out, one headlight in. Those are a set of halos that I've got on eBay right now. I'm going to buff them, hook them all up, plug and play. You'll have a remote. You can switch colors. The outer perimeter is black. You'll have standard halogen, and then the halos will be 16 color. Still be a nice little piece. And there's the American flag flying high. Thank you.